Have you ever been in a toxic friendship? Did it take you long to figure it out? I think it's a discussion worth having. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk about toxic friendships. Maybe we've all had them, maybe we haven't. I know I have had one, and I'll share a little bit about that story in this video. But first, we have to recognize that the friendship has now turned toxic. And it's not always easy to recognize that. Sometimes it's a slow buildup. We don't want to face it. We don't even want to think that the friendship is becoming toxic. It just builds up and we can't make excuses anymore. And it's very sad to end a friendship. But sometimes we have to. We have to recognize the signs of a toxic friendship because it's really critical to our well-being. They can be damaging, they can hurt us, they can do a lot of things. There are 7 signs that I would like to share with you that you are in a toxic friendship. Now, maybe the friendship wasn't toxic to begin with, but as time went on, you realized that it was. Friends should lift you up and should encourage you and be supportive and make you feel good about yourself. And you do the same things for that person. But when it's not going that way, we need to make a change. So let me talk about those 7 signs of a toxic friendship. Number 1 is when you hesitate to share good news with them. Now, we should be able to share good news with our friends, but when it gets to the point where they become envious or critical, and you can tell they're really not happy for you, they're not happy about your good news, that is a telltale sign. Number 2 is you start to feel uncomfortable. You don't want to share things with them. You feel like you have to walk on eggshells. And that's a definite sign of a toxic friendship. Number 3 would be it's starting to stress you out to be around them. You can't talk freely, you can't share, you're very guarded in what you have to say. That's definitely a sign. Number 4 would be they're always talking about themselves. They don't ask you about yourself or what's going on in your life. They're not really interested. They just want to talk about their life, their situation, and themselves. It's not a balanced relationship. It's not a two-way street for them. Number 5 would be they drain you. It feels like they're sucking the life right out of you. They're very needy, and they want you to fill all the voids in their life. Number 6, you no longer feel the friendship is genuine because you feel like you can't be yourself around them. You feel like you have to be someone else just to keep them happy. That is a definite sign that the friendship is becoming toxic. And number 7 would be you feel alone in the friendship. You don't feel supported. You don't feel like what you are sharing or saying to them is of interest to them at all. They just want to move on and get on to something else that is more self-serving for them. They think about what you're saying, and they think about how that's going to affect them. If you are making changes in your life, if you're interested in something new that you've never been interested in before, how is that going to affect them? That's the way they think. They're not happy for you. They're not supportive. They just really only care about themselves. Now, this can be very sad when this happens to someone you have considered a best friend, a very good friend, a lifelong friend. Why did it change? What happened? Well, sometimes people just grow apart. They develop different interests. Things change in their lives. And if the other person is not happy for you and not supportive of you, that tension starts to build and the friendship becomes toxic. Now, I said I would share a story with you, and this is just a very brief synopsis of this story. But I had a friend who I considered a best friend. I loved her dearly. We knew each other for about 15 years. And little by little, over time, this didn't happen overnight. It took, probably 8 years or 9 years to really see that the friendship was toxic. It was toxic to me. Now, sometimes we are the toxic person in a relationship, and that's something we have to really examine and take a deep look at ourselves. But in this case, I felt the relationship, the friendship, became toxic because of her behavior. Number one, she seemed very jealous. She wanted all of my time. She didn't want me to have any other friends, to do anything else. She wanted to consume me and have me all for herself, and it felt very smothering to me. I didn't like it at all. Number two, she was not supportive. When I decided to start a YouTube channel, she just thought that that was vanity. She didn't support me. She didn't watch my videos. She didn't comment. She just thought it was ridiculous. I've always supported her and everything she did because she was so talented. She could sew. Oh my gosh, could she sew? She was creative. She was crafty. And I would spend my time building her up and complimenting her on her amazing talents. But that was never returned to me in any way, shape, or form. What ended up ending it for me to where I had to completely cut off the friendship was when the jealousy came in. For those of you that have been here, you know that we brought my ma down here. I think it's been 6 or 7 years now. But anyhow, we brought her down here to be with us so we could be her caretakers. Well, instead of supporting that, she was constantly telling me I needed to put her in a nursing home, that this was just too much for me to deal with. I shouldn't be dealing with this stuff. I shouldn't be giving up my life and parts of my life to be taking care of my ma. That it would be better if I just put her in a nursing home. Well, first of all, that hurt me to the core. I mean, that was crushing to me. And she would make those comments quite frequently. And that hurt deeply. The truth was, she did not want someone else taking up my time, taking my time away from her. I would no longer be available every single day, any time of the day, for her, because I had this commitment, and she didn't like it at all. And the other example I'll share with you is that when my sister and her husband decided to move down here, I was so excited because they were moving into this community. She would be a half a mile down the road from me. Well, all she did was criticize that. My sister and her husband would go back and forth between Pennsylvania and South Carolina. They would be here 6 months and in Pennsylvania for 6 months. And she would make comments to me like, she's never going to move there. I mean, you can just forget it. Don't even think she's going to move there. You know she isn't. There's no point getting involved with her because she's not going to be here permanently. Well, my goodness, she was my sister. I mean, I just don't understand. What happens to people? Where does that come from? I don't know. Maybe it's from their past experiences or things they have gone through in their life. Maybe they never had any close friends, so they just want to grab onto you and they don't want anybody else in the way. They want your undivided attention all the time. I don't know. But once it got to that level, that was it for me. I mean, other little things, like I told you, I didn't feel supported by her. She would say things like, if I told her I got a new lipstick, well, you don't need that. I mean, what are you, vain or something? I mean, just little snide comments that I would let those go because I valued our friendship and I loved her. But when it got to the point where it involved my mother and she was telling me I needed to put her in a nursing home because she was taking up too much of my life, that was it for me. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry that I had to cut that friendship off. I love her as a person, and I always will. I wish her well in her life, and I would never want any harm to come to her. But I can no longer be a friend of hers. So if you've ever been in a toxic friendship, please share that in the comments below. Let us know how you recognized it or how you ended it and what damage it may have done to you. I think by sharing these things in the comment section, we help each other out, we learn from each other, and we grow from each other. Remember, a good friend always has your back. They want the best for you. They are happy for you when you share news with them, no matter what that news is. They are sincerely happy for you. And they let you know they will be there for you and love you through the new changes in your life. That's what a real, true, or best friend is all about. Well, now I'm going to leave you with an inside beauty tip. My inside beauty tip today comes from Philippians 2:3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Well, I guess jealousy is what I'm focusing on here because that seems to be one of the key factors that leads to a toxic friendship. Now, it's not always jealousy, but I think that plays a very big role when you find your friendship going in that direction. We should be selfless, not selfish. We should care about others' needs and put them above our own, especially when they need us. And most of all, we always have to have love. No matter why a friendship breaks up and has to end, no matter what the circumstances were or how that person behaved, that doesn't mean we can't love them. We have to continue to love them and always want the best for them. It just means that it got to a point where you couldn't be around that person anymore because it was detrimental to you. It was tearing you down. It was making you feel bad about yourself. But that doesn't change the love part. We are to love everyone. We all have faults. And as I said earlier, we may have had a time in our lives where we were the toxic person in a friendship or a relationship. So we have to have forgiveness and love, but we also have to move on and take care of our own well-being. That's the way I see it. Well, I thank you so much for being here today. I truly do appreciate it. And until we meet again, this is the old girl signing out. See ya!